Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Trent. This is Rams Talk. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing and commenting and liking and being part of the community. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Love to have you on board. And for everyone that just subscribed, thanks for jumping on board and joining the community. And for all the legacy subscribers, thanks for your continued support and conversation. You can also find me on Twitter at RealLARamsTalk. So, okay. Let's get into it. That was a nail-biter of a game. It was a good game, and it kind of reminds me of, for those limited times that I go to the gym, like I never want to go, and I have to kind of like force myself through it, and that's how I felt the Rams were with this game. It's like they just showed up physically, and we're playing the first quarter and just kind of didn't know what we're going through the motions, weren't really awake, and they fought through it and they sparked it and they got into it and kind of knocked that complacency off. And once that happened, they were the Rams. So it just took a while to get into the flow. Maybe just a little complacency there. Another thing is I've heard a lot of people talk about how the Rams fans didn't really show up for this. It was like all Packers fans. That's what I hear. But I also want to remind people that there's a lot to do here in Los Angeles. And especially this past weekend was super crazy. So on Saturday, you had the Dodgers World Series, you had a USC football game. On Sunday, there was a thing called the Sports Equinox. It's the first time in sports history that a city has had 5 home games in one day. So you had Clippers game, LA Kings game, LA Galaxy game, Dodgers World Series game, and a Rams game. And so just on Saturday, between those two games, the World Series and USC game, there was 132 people in attendance at those two games. 132,000 fans attended those games. On Sunday, take the Rams game out of it, just the Clippers, Kings, Dodgers, and Galaxy, there was 116 fans that attended those games. You add Saturday and Sunday up and the Rams game, and you have 342,000 fans that attended all of those games on those 2 days. So, maybe someone didn't go to the Rams game because they went to the World Series. Maybe someone didn't go to the Rams game because they went to the World Series the day before, or the USC game the day before. We're not sitting on piles of money that we can just go to every game all the time, $200, $300, $400, $500 tickets. So, yeah, the Green Bay Packers fans showed up because where else were they going to go? The Bucks weren't in town. The Brewers are out. So, I just don't want to hear that. That's a stupid excuse. It doesn't really... I doubt the state of Wisconsin has 342,000 people at all. Actually, I know it does, but you know what I'm saying. So, just chill out, people dissing Rams fans. So let's just get into this game. One other quick thing. 49ers lost to the Cardinals. So now the 49ers have lost. The Cardinals have 2 wins, both against the 49ers. So 49er fans, I think we can just safely say that it's just done. Just stop. Just stop. When you win 6 games, you can come back. Anyways, so going into this game, if you didn't watch it and you just looked at the tail of the tape between the two teams, the Rams had more first downs. They had more total yards, more passing, more rushing. They had the ball for, 8 minutes more than the Packers. So they even converted 8 out of 18 third downs. I know that sounds kind of weird because at the beginning of the game, they were getting blitzed and sacked on every third down, but they turned it around. So they really did win the tail of the tape. They had better stats than the Packers. So, if I didn't see the game and didn't know anything else, I would conclude that the Rams have won that game based on those stats. A big deal in this game was containing Aaron Rodgers. And they did. He only had 286 yards, 1 touchdown. So a lot of people are talking about Marcus Peters and Troy Hill, how they didn't really, play well. But as a whole, the secondary held the Packers well below Rodgers' averages, game averages. So, yeah, Marcus Peters was also guarding Devontae Adams, who is a top 7 receiver in terms of yards. He has more yards than A.J. Green. He has more yards than Michael Thomas. more yards than Antonio Brown. So just because he's maybe not a household name, but their passing game is tough, and the Rams did a good job. In contrast, Goff had 295 yards, which is more than Rodgers. He had 3 TDs, and his passer rating was 111 compared to 103 for Rodgers. So Goff outperformed Rodgers, although Rodgers had more big plays, and he was a little more efficient in terms of completions versus attempts. But what can you say about Todd Gurley? 195 total yards. He is the number 1 rusher in the NFL at 800 yards. The second highest rusher, the second highest total, is Ezekiel Elliott, and he has 619. So Todd Gurley is 181 yards better than the second place guy in terms of just rushing. But he's just been a beast, and he is actually the, I want to say the 6th player with 50 touchdowns before the age of 25. I mean, Barry Sanders, Jim Brown, Randy Moss, Maurice Jones-Drew, kind of random, but he's in that some rarefied air. And Todd Gurley, even I remember he had this like chip block on a blitz pickup where he just fully extended to kind of nip this guy, and so he just does it all. I'm very happy Todd Gurley's on our team. And then Johnny Hekker. I mean, this is a old school Johnny Hekker game. He had 7 punts for 316 yards. And he pinned the ball inside the 20 3 times, and he had that fake punt. But this game is really what I like to talk about. What I'd really like to talk about this game is just a bunch of sequences. Is really where the Rams kind of broke loose. And so he had that punt where it was down on the 1 by Sam Shields, the same guy he also threw the fake punt to. And then on the very next play, Mark Barron just blew up, I believe it was Aaron Jones for a safety. So it was punt, 1 yard line, safety. And why you're even trying to run it into Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh on the 1 yard line is beyond me. But props to Mark Barron for coming through on that one. You watch that, he just plugged that gap and did a really good job. Another sequence, or just even a play, was by Corey Littleton. Now, Corey Littleton is arguably the 3rd best defender on the team behind Donald and Suh. He only makes $545,000 this year compared to the $10 million that Ogletree is making. And we even got a conditional pick for losing Ogletree. So basically a 3rd round pick and Littleton. That's awesome. And yesterday, I remember in the I believe it was the first quarter, he had a sack on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. It was 3rd and 2 on the Rams' 38-yard line. And Littleton just came in, sacks Aaron Rodgers all the way back to the Packers' 47. So it takes them out of field goal range. So there goes, they didn't convert on 3rd down, and they're now out of field goal range, and they had to punt. So Corey Littleton to go along with his 8 tackles, that's huge. It's little things like that that can really sway the momentum. Then a couple other, or another sequence that was really important was after they get the safety, and then they punt it back to the Rams, and then in that play, or in that sequence, in that drive, there's that pass to Brandon Cooks where they review it and they they overturn it, so it's a catch. Then the next play is the Todd Gurley where he bobbled it down the sideline, catch. And then Josh Reynolds TD. So it's like those sequences as well. So everything is related to everything, and one small play kind of leads to a big play down the road. Speaking of Josh Reynolds, great to see him have a couple TDs, get some big time catches, and Goff is spreading the wealth. That's awesome. A couple things I didn't like was the blitz pickup on 3rd down. I feel like everyone knew that they were blitzing on 3rd down except for the Rams, and they couldn't do anything against it. And tip of the cap to Martinez to Blake Martinez and the Packers D. I mean, they really played well against the Rams. They showed up. John Sullivan didn't have a great game, and Marcus Peters and Troy Hill didn't have stellar games, but like I said, they held Rodgers to just 1 passing touchdown in the game. So, I mean, you can't fault them too much. And the Packers' passing attack is really good. So what can you do? You're not going to hold every quarterback and receiver to 0. It's just not realistic. So bend, don't break. And then last but not least, Aaron Donald. 2 more sacks. He has 10 sacks on the year, leads the NFL. He's an interior lineman. I mean, he could have 20 sacks. Think about that. A defensive tackle having 20 sacks. He's going to win Defensive Player of the Year again. He's worth every penny. I love that. Absolutely love it. So we have a big test coming up against the Saints. And, I mean, that can go either way. Of course, I'd like to see the Rams undefeated, but it's just not realistic. You know, I kind of felt like, oh, gosh, the Rams are going to lose this game against the Packers. It's okay. They'll make the playoffs. They'll still get home field advantage. Probably a first-round bye. If they don't win every game, that's okay. Just win the games that matter, and those are in the playoffs. So keep that in mind. See how we stack up against the Saints. Feel like very similar teams. And yeah, I'll have a preview of that coming up. But anyways, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't, please do so. Maybe right there. And watch some of my other videos. And, you know, even though the Dodgers lost and they're out of the World Series, now we can just focus on Rams and Lakers. So anyways, thanks for watching. And as always, go Rams.